Hello, everyone. Welcome back to I've Got a Bad Feeling About That podcast. I am Robert, and that is
I'm Corey.
this week we are going to continue covering THRAWN. We are almost done, getting towards the end. What chapters is it? 20 through
16 through 20.
16 through 20.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to cover those. Have a little bit of a what's new in the galaxy segment.
What's happening?
And talk about what we expect next. So to start off, let's talk about some Star Wars news. There'll be some Mando spoilers, so if you haven't seen the finale, you should have seen it.
It's too late. It's been like 2 weeks at this point.
The official Star Wars page already spoiled it, so what are you gonna do?
Not even 24 hours later, that page has been a menace.
I know.
Sorry, I'm pulling up the. I liked it. I'm like trying to remember what happened. They fight for Mandalore. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was interesting that it was Gideon's clones. I thought that for sure we would start to see the actual steps being made for Palpatine's return in Episode 9. I thought we were going to start making that payout. But
not to be his clones, a little odd.
Yeah, especially because he made that comment like 3 episodes ago about cloning isn't my obsession, that's yours. And it's like, well, it seems like it is your obsession, my dude. You have like 20 clones of yourself. So
they tried to make him force sensitive too, which was interesting.
Yeah, but it kind of makes sense why it makes sense why he wants Grogu, but it also would have made sense why they needed Grogu for Palpatine, because they needed the force sensitive to be there if Palpatine was going to enter a clone or whatever. So
yeah,
we'll eventually get that. So now I'm for sure leaning more towards Palpatine's clones being revealed in Bad Batch.
Yeah, over in Mount Tantus,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're leading up to that.
Yeah,
I mean, they've done a lot with cloning in these recent shows, so
yeah, and it's leading up. They're either going to do it for that or they're going to do it for Ahsoka. But it'd be kind of a letdown if Thrawn came back for Ahsoka, which by this point Celebration has come out, so this dude has now become like America's most popular Star Wars character. But it'd be kind of lame if he came back and it was just like, yep, we're gonna make a clone of the Emperor. That's my grand plan. It's like, okay, that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Thrawn. But what else happened to Mando? So they have some good old fashioned Mando fighting.
He was going 1-on-1, like 1v1, each section at a time. I liked it.
I did like the little R5 section
with the mouse droids.
Mouse droid, but you're right. You texted me and you said Chopper would have just yeeted that mouse droid into the abyss.
Yeah, Chopper would have like started wrestling them or something.
Yeah, Chopper would have destroyed them because he is a cold-blooded killer.
Yes.
But then Gideon, the fight between Gideon and Mando was pretty good.
It was really good. I liked it whenever Bo-Katan showed up, and it was Bo versus Moff Gideon. For a second, I thought they were just going to kill Grogu. Whenever the doors closed and the Praetorian guards were chopping him up, I was like, it's Grogu's time.
I thought they were going to kill Grogu too for a second. What do you think about them destroying the Darksaber?
I texted you that I was like, Mando fans can't catch a break. They get like attached to an item and then they destroy it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, he can't have anything cool. Darksaber, Beskar staff.
I think it's fine that they destroyed it, because overall the message it gives is that Bo doesn't need the Darksaber to unite Mandalore. she herself is the uniting factor of Mandalore. The Darksaber is not. There's so much power in the Darksaber where it's like whoever owns it is the leader of Mandalore. It's like that's a dumb rule. No wonder you have so many people that just come through and be like, I rule Mandalore now. Like, it's just a stupid rule. So, I'm kind of glad they got rid of it. It's cool looking, and it always, a good weapon, always going to be cool. It was one of those throwaway weapons from the Clone Wars. They were just like, yep, this is the Darksaber, and it has this history to it. And so, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. I will say I was hesitant about Axe Woves at first. I thought he was just a jerk, like, a Chad character, but sure enough, homeboy, he came in clutch.
He did.
Turned out to be a solid dude.
I couldn't decide whether or not to drop the whole spy thing from the previous episode because I was like, who's the spy? And so whenever he was flying up, I was like, well, is he the spy? Like, I was expecting him to get on the ship and be like, okay, we're out of here. Like, they could have done that, and it would have been like, oh, crap, he was the spy. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
But I liked how they played it out in the end. I liked that the internet was like, we owe the armorer an apology.
I know.
Because like
Yeah.
everybody jumped. I did too because
The
there was just
horns.
something
Yeah, she had the
there was
horns.
just something that they did in the previous episode that made her seem suspicious. You know?
I will say, I do like that they didn't make Axe be the whole, going down with the ship. He's like, nah, I'm just going to blow out the
I'm gonna
window and
fly out
fly
the
it.
window. Okay, so the internet is conflicted about this. Do you think that Moff Gideon is dead? Do you think that that was a clone because it didn't have a mustache, which is stupid? That's the reasoning behind it being a clone.
I think he's
Or
dead.
do you think that he had another set of clones and we're going to see Moff Gideon again?
I hope he's dead. I think he served his purpose. He was a good villain, but
Yeah.
move on. Uh, I texted you this, and I think you agree. This felt like more of a like series finale, not just a season finale. I feel
Yes,
like they wrapped up the Mandalorian perfectly.
especially because like it ended on a happy note. And so like especially after watching Bad Batch and watching Empire Strikes Back. Like Empire is a great movie. This is my example. It ends on a down note. Like it ends with them being hopeful about doing stuff, but they lost. And so
Yeah,
you want them to come back to have that victory, which is what you get in Return of the Jedi. For Bad Batch, the final season of Bad Batch is going to have to end in some way, hopefully in a happy way for at least one of the characters, you know? I think we're going to get a lot more heartache before they get their happy ending, but whatever. Also, my theory on that is that it's going to be Crosshair and Omega surviving everything, and those two end up being the kind of odd couple. Because obviously Crosshair figured out that the Empire doesn't and isn't the right choice, and
yeah,
Omega is going to lose everything, and so it's going to be the unlikely combination of those two. Kind of is what my theory is, but yeah. So Mando ended the season on a happy note. The Mandalorians are back. They have control of Mandalore again. Din and Din Grogu are chilling at their home,
very vibing. They
right? And you know, a major player of the remnant empire is gone. So it's
but
kind of
this just
like,
clears the way for Thrawn to come in.
yeah, but like I think what they're going to do next season is kind of go back to their formula for the first season of just he gets a mission, he goes and does the side mission, he comes back. So I don't
Uh,
necessarily think that there's going to be much of like an overarching
Unless
dialogue,
Ahsoka
but yeah,
sets
it depends
something
on what
up.
happens in Ahsoka.
I feel like that might set us up for something.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, him sitting there chilling on his lawn chair watching his child, like it's a happy ending. I
Oh
like
yeah,
that he
that happened
adopted
too. Yeah,
Grogu, even
he
though
made it official.
everybody, even Bo earlier in this episode said, "Go save your kid." Like, if Din didn't realize that he adopted Grogu the second that they touched fingers, like, homeboy's stupid.
Yeah, but they did make it official.
Yes.
Also, I did think more was going to happen with the Mythosaur.
Yeah, I think it was just um, it was used so that the armorer realized that Bo Katan was meant for more than what was happening. So it kind of helped Bo Katan's case that she is the leader of Mandalore, with or without the Darksaber.
Yeah,
Because her side of it's very religious, and so the Mythosaur being the Mythosaur, it it's kind of like seeing it in a vision or something of this person. And then Bo Katan's side of things, it's just, the respect aspect of it. So they literally meshed the two. But I mean, he gave us a little wink at the end whenever they went back down.
yeah.
So there's still opportunity for somebody to ride him.
So somebody will.
It's gonna be Grogu, but it's fine.
Probably gonna be Grogu. But yeah, it was good. Good season finale. We'll see what they do with season 4.
Yeah,
Um, Celebration. We got some exciting news.
we had a lot of news.
We saw our first live action scene of Thrawn.
hmm
They, Corey and I saw the behind the scenes celebration only one because we were there. We were in London.
Yeah, that's why it took so long to get another episode out.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm excited for Ahsoka. I think I hope it's good.
Bro, we literally saw. So I had this stupid moment of when I was watching the trailer. I was like, "Oh, it's Hera, it's Sabine, it's Chopper. We've seen Zeb." I was like, "And Kanan," and I was like, "Oh wait,
Oh wait,
he's dead at this point."
not Kanan.
So yeah,
What about? Didn't they have a kid?
they did. So maybe we'll see their child, whatever he's
Um,
supposed to look like. Because in the season finale or series finale of Rebels, I don't know what that was, but yeah.
um, and then we got the Acolyte trailer looked really cool. I think I sent you that one. Did you watch that
Yeah, I saw
one?
that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looked
that.
interesting.
I mean, it's like set in the High Republic era, so that
hmm
pretty cool. It looked very samurai-esque.
Yeah. Uh, we get new season 2 of Visions is coming out
Yep.
in a couple weeks.
And
They
then
all
what
looked
else?
they all looked great. They have the new timeline. I have it pulled up. So the official new Star Wars timeline, because 3 new movies were announced, and we'll get
That's
into
right.
that after I announce the timeline. So now the timeline is the Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic, the hold on, this is a better one. Oh, I need new glasses. The High Republic, which is where all the books are coming from. The Fall of the Jedi, which is prequels. The Reign of the Empire, which is in between 3 and 4. Age of Rebellion, which is 4 through 6. The New Republic, which is going to be 6 through like Ahsoka time period. Rise of the First Order is Force Awakens, those 3 movies. And then the New Jedi Order, which is going to be 15 years, I think is what they said, after um, the end of Rise of Skywalker. So
Yeah.
that, so we have a new Rey movie, which is going to be following Rey with Daisy Ridley, set in the New Jedi Order. We have a new movie in the Dawn of the Jedi, so it's going to be the first Jedi
That
movie
one looks
coming
cool.
out.
And
And
the
then we
Mando
have
first movie.
a Dave Filoni verse movie happening somewhere in the New Republic section, which is
Kind of
going to be a
like their
culmination of all of his characters.
yeah, it's like an Avengers type movie is what it
Yeah.
seems like.
So
Uh,
I really want them someday to actually dive into the Old Republic.
The Old Republic, yes.
Because that is
There's
probably
so much.
That game is so deceptive with its trailers, but that game and like that era, there's so much, like so many Jedi and so many Sith. It's like kind of cool that it's balanced, kind
Yeah,
of. And like you
yeah.
have
There's just so much
things like the
content.
OG sacking of the temple and stuff like that. So I don't
You
know.
got Darth Revan. You got Darth Bane, Lord of the Sith, creator of the Role of Two. Uh,
Malgus,
Malgus. You
Malik.
got Bastilla Shan. All of that whole the Karth Onasi crew. I mean, HK-47.
You have
There's just so much that
Nihilus.
potential. Nihilus.
I want to see him just eat a
Then,
world.
I mean, even like the Emperor, right? Valkyrion,
Yeah.
the guy that new dude looks like in Ahsoka. I saw him
Yeah,
and
he
I was
does.
like, that evil guy looks like Valkyrion.
We don't know that they're evil. They have
Okay.
orange lightsabers specifically because for a specific reason, according to
Yeah,
Dave Filoni.
according to Dave, it was intentional. So,
Yeah. My thoughts, my theory. So this will be the last thing. Then we'll jump into actual Thrawn because
yeah.
But I think that it's a red herring that they are dropping trigger words like "error to the Empire" for Thrawn. I think if you base it off of those original books and if you base it off of the ending of Rebels, I don't think Thrawn is necessarily for the Empire. I think that he at this point has now shifted his focus to the Chiss ascendancy and um, whatever threat is happening in the unknown reaches.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because in Mando, we didn't see Thrawn, and none of the Shadow Collective had actually heard from Thrawn. So they were just making assumptions using his name because his name carries a lot of weight. So it's like, I think that they're trying to throw everybody off, especially with the new like dark side users, like using orange lightsabers. There's something a missing puzzle piece that we're all missing. That's my 2 cents.
It'd be interesting. I really want them to dig into the Chiss ascendancy,
Yeah.
because always talked about. That'd be
Well,
cool.
because it's like, what did him and Ezra do when they were together? Because if Thrawn was able to escape, that means Ezra was too. But at some point, they would have talked to each other, probably. So Thrawn at that point probably would have been like, hey, let me tell you about what's really going on. And then Ezra, who is not conflicted, but Ezra is going to be more of a gray Jedi than any other type of, like, he's not going to be a Jedi, you know? All of the new age Jedis, like Ahsoka, Ezra, Cal Kestis, they're more balanced than an Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
Because
I feel like
Obi-Wan's vision is flawed because the Jedi's hubris made it so. Hello.
we have a visitor. He said
But
hi.
yeah, that's my thought. I think that they're trying to throw us off, but whatever.
But, all right. Well,
So with that,
Star Wars news. On to
that
Thrawn.
concludes our Star Wars news.
So, chapter 16 through 20.
So chapter 16, Arinda's back in trouble with Moff Gideon. She pretty much gets trapped because she wants to go on a date, and it ends up that the date works for Gideon. So that sucks.
That's right. Yeah. And he thinks that her organization is spying on people.
On him specifically.
On him.
but he wants to. So now he wants to use Orinda to get all the information they have on him, but also potentially get information on other Moffs. And Orinda didn't know that Higher Skies actually was spying on the Moffs.
Yeah, but he's got this black card or this blackmail card still in the back of his pocket saying, hey, remember that time I threw spice all over you? Yeah, I haven't forgotten. So she feels kind of
hard to forget about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
she is stuck, and then he's like, hey, call your boss. I want to see, if you're actually spying on people. So she calls up Driller, right? And she's like, hey, what about Grand Moff Tarkin? Do you need me to do anything? Should I leave anything at his office? Should I get information? She's trying to rat him out.
Right.
Homeboy didn't, Moff Gotti didn't suspect anything. But Orinda noticed that he paused for just like, an extra half a second more than he normally would.
Right.
That's when she kind of put two and two together. Right. So she is now in tune with the fact that Higher Skies is, in this point of view, the bad guys, but
yes,
basically rebels, right?
Which are the good guys from a certain point of view. So then she comes up with the plan. She's like, oh, what if I actually, oh, no. So she puts that seed in Driller's head, and then Driller comes back like a couple weeks later and is like, hey, remember how you asked me about Grand Moff Tarkin? Well, I got you a meeting with him.
Yeah.
And then she like calls Gotti and tells him and records it because Gotti's like, I want the information on Tarkin. Pretty much him using the rebels to spy on Tarkin, which probably isn't going to be liked by Tarkin.
Yeah, definitely not.
So
that kind of ends that chapter, and then the next couple chapters we shoot back over to Thrawn and Eli, and they are on a planet dealing with some local
land
disputes. Yeah.
Between natives and like I don't think they're Imperial, like, but they're just like, we'll just call them invaders. I don't. Settlers, yeah.
So basically, people keep raiding, right? They're raiding the villages, and they have an issue with this. So each side has a story, yada yada yada. So Thrawn basically it's like, okay, we'll figure this out. He says more people shouldn't have to die over this silly thing. So let's plant a trap and see what's actually
right. Let's see why they're raiding.
Yeah. So he tells his group of people like, hey, be a distraction. Go to this place, catch those raids. Eli and I are going to stay behind at this little farm that Thrawn had scouted out, and they figured out that was a good raiding site based off of Thrawn's supreme tactic reading ability.
Yep.
So they talk to everybody, and then basically say, okay, go your own ways. We're going to stay behind. So they kind of stay behind, camp out the night, and Thrawn was correct. A speeder rolled on up to this place, and a bunch of people hop out, and they start using some machinery, and that is when Thrawn puts all the pieces together and is like,
digging. Yeah.
These people are mining pre-spice, which is the ingredients to make spice.
Right. The pre-spice version of spice.
Yeah. So, Thrawn is just watching this whole time to see what they're doing. He tells Eli, hey, when it's your time to shoot, you'll know. And then just runs off. So Eli's like, what does that even mean?
Right, like a great teacher. You'll feel it. You'll know what's happening.
And then Thrawn just decides to open up, starts firing his blaster, set to stun.
Yep.
Because Thrawn doesn't want to kill people. And
Unnecessarily.
they see Thrawn, they start shooting back at him.
Mhm.
And Eli's like, I don't know when to start. And then he has a big epiphany and it's like, oh, this is probably the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts unloading, catches them from behind, so surprises them. Boom, 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 boom. People are getting stunned. They all find Eli. Eli thinks he's toast, and then he hears quiet. Because while they were distracted on Eli, Thrawn snuck around him again, and then
Finished him off, essentially. Yeah. Thrawn did his tactical maneuver and probably knocked them all out.
Yeah. What else happens after that? So they stun all those people. There's one guy who they
Like works for the mayor or whatever.
what was his name? Tanu.
Yeah.
So they basically tie him up and they're like, okay, who hired you to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the name Night Swan is dropped.
Yes.
Which, if you recall back,
Ding, ding,
Night
ding.
Swan is the overall, like, underarching villain who is Thrawn's greatest enemy, basically.
Right.
Another guy who has a lot of tactical knowledge. But then he's like, okay, so you caught me digging pre-spice. You can't do anything about it.
Right.
This is not illegal.
Right.
And Thrawn's like, bet. And Eli said, actually,
He's
it is
correct.
not illegal. So Thrawn's like, okay, fine. Let's just blow it all up.
Essentially, yeah. If I can't arrest you, I'll just destroy the source, essentially.
Yeah, I'll destroy your business. Sorry. And then they have a TIE pilot come down. Now this is where a little interesting detail comes in. Thrawn calls for a very specific TIE fighter pilot who he says can make the maneuvers to follow this vein of pre-spice that's in the planet. And so they call him down, tell him to follow it, and as he's flying through the planet, really low to the ground, the Thunder Wasp is up there shooting turbo lasers, blowing up this vein of pre-spice. So,
just like right behind him.
Yeah, interesting
is what
tactics.
I interpreted it as.
It works. They blow it all up. They got no more business. Land dispute settled. They have no need to be there.
Well, they also blew up all the land.
Exactly. So the mayor's pretty pissed off. And he's like, I'm taking this up with Coruscant.
No, the chief. No, it's the chief. The chief, the chief is like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
And then he says the iconic line of, I hope I never see you again or something.
Yeah, that was a good one. So, he says, basically, I'm going to report you to Coruscant. And Thrawn's like, whatever. I don't care at this point.
Go for it.
He's only been court-martialed, 10 times before this.
It just means it's another promotion for me. Every court-martial just means promotion.
But right before they leave the planet to go back to Coruscant, the TIE fighter pilot walks up to Eli and is like, you remember me? Eli's like, I don't remember you at all. And then he kind of gives him some context and is like, remember that one night at the academy? Yeah, that was me.
That was
he was one of the guys who jumped them. And this guy thinks that, oh yeah, you didn't punish me. I got sent off to the fighter academy and I'm, top dog now.
Yeah.
You're still an ensign. Get wrecked.
Yep.
But so Eli's kind of annoyed because he secretly knows that it was all Thrawn who did all this, but
if he were to say it, it would make him look kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, sure, Thrawn was the one that did that. Okay.
Likely story. You're still an ensign. Get wrecked.
Yep.
You have to call me sir.
Essentially, yeah. It's just Eli getting bullied some more about his rank.
Yeah. And what happens in chapter 19?
Chapter 19 is mostly just Arinda and Tarkin's back and forth.
That's right.
Yeah. So Arinda gets the meeting with Tarkin. She goes. she essentially Tarkin's a hard dude to like crack, like to understand what he's thinking. And she kind of lays out all of her cards, and Tarkin's like, and because she's like, I have this recording of Moff Gotti, like technically conspiring with rebels to get information about you and all this other stuff, and Tarkin's just like, what else you got? But it turns out that he's just like pulling her leg. He's just like giving her a hard time. He's like, so what do you want? And she is that whenever she like straight up says like, I want uh I want the
governorship.
governorship of Lothal.
Yeah.
And Tarkin's like, that's it. Um, and
And
then
she's like, well, I have this friend Thrawn too, you know.
yeah, so she
And
like is
I'll,
making she's like wheeling and dealing for Thrawn because Thrawn was the one that gave her the idea to take it to Tarkin at a specific time. Um,
and
and
like
so and so she makes these deals. Tarkin's like, well, that can be arranged. I hear uh, Governor Zodi is going to be stepping down soon, and Arenda's like, I haven't heard that, and Tarkin's just like, well, now he is.
you know,
And she's gonna
uh,
so she's gonna start as like interim governor, and it's just gonna turn into like actual governor.
yeah. I
And then
think the
Tarkin,
part that I liked about this is how much Tarkin like plays with Arinda the whole
yes, he
episode.
definitely plays with his food.
Yeah. Like she is sweating bullets out there thinking
Yes,
like, because at one point Tarkin's like, that's all you got for me?
yeah, he's like that's kind of lackluster. But he also then turns it around on her, and he's like, so now that you're going to be in a higher position of power, I need you to then spy on the Moffs for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
'Cause he's
Arenda's
got
like,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
sounds great.
Tarkin has a personal beef with Moff Gotti. They don't like each other
I feel
at all.
like, so in that whole retrospect, I feel like Gotti has an issue with Tarkin, and Tarkin's just kind of like, why are you so obsessed with me? You know? So this is a way of Tarkin getting rid of someone that's annoying him and who's always kind of napping at his heels,
Yeah.
trying to overthrow him, like trying to take him down. So it's like, okay, I'm protecting myself, getting rid of a nuisance, and also creating another sort of informant for me.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I didn't know before reading this, or I forgot, was that Grand Moff is a civilian title.
I always thought it was military, based off of like the movies and stuff, because he's wearing a military uniform.
Yeah, and it said in the book in the chapter, like, even though he's a civilian, he wears an Imperial Navy
Hmm.
uniform.
Which makes
So I
sense
guess he
because he
was.
was in the military.
Yeah, in the Republic. We saw him in that Clone Wars episode.
Hmm.
He was like, I hate clones.
Yeah, that was pretty much his entire vibe. It's still his vibe in Bad Batch.
Yeah. But she also managed to strike a deal to promote Eli, because Eli
Yes.
has just not been promoted ever since he's graduated.
Yeah, she essentially was like for Thrawn, um, moving his repairs and stuff to the top of the list because they kept trying to hold him back from being out in the field because he was outshining admirals and crap. And then for Eli to finally get the promotion that he deserves. And so Tarkin's like, okay, yeah, all that's really easy. I'm Grand Moff
Yeah.
Tarkin.
Yeah. So
So,
they strike a deal, and then after she leaves the meeting with Tarkin, we cut to a scene back at the dojo, where Rinda's
Dojo.
been training
Yes.
and where she met
It's where her
some
friend
of her
works.
friends. And she's like, "Oh, hey, how'd your meeting with Tarkin go?" And she's like, "Oh, it was good." And she said, but she's like, "Oh, why are you here?" And Arinda's like, "We're making an arrest. It's
No,
you."
first she says, I'm in between jobs,
Yeah, that's right.
which
I'm in
is
between
which was
jobs.
cheeky.
And then she says, "I'm here to arrest someone." oh, by the way, that someone is you.
Right.
And then in comes the ISB, So Colonel Yularen comes storming on in, and it's just
Hmm.
got her, and her friend is just like shocked. It's just
Right.
like, were we ever friends and stuff? And it's just wild. So I'd say Arinda has finally um, moved on from her kinder days.
Yes. And then at the very end of this chapter, we get another meeting in Coruscant where Thrawn is being beckoned to Coruscant, and they said Eli had to come as well. And so Eli was kind of confused, but he was also like, Thrawn's just going to get promoted, whatever. So Eli is literally not listening to a word being said at this meeting with admirals there and with Grand Moff Tarkin there. And then he hears them say, congratulations, Lieutenant Commander uh, Vonto. And he's like, what? What'd you say? So yeah, Eli finally got his promotion. He's now Lieutenant Commander. Thrawn is now. Is he now Admiral? No, he's
No,
Commandant.
he commandant, yeah. But
Right.
with that promotion, they did get a new deployment.
Yeah, they got a new assignment. The good old
The
Chimera.
ISD Chimera. So
Hmm.
that's a big deal.
Yep.
Went from like a what little light
Light
cruiser, and
cruiser.
now he's
Yeah.
flying an Imperial Star Destroyer.
Yep.
So okay, let me ask you this,
Hmm.
just random question. So you know how there's the ISD Chimera, right? I already had that name.
Hmm.
Do you think Thrawn was the one that had it painted on the bottom, or do you think it already had that paint job?
I would probably say that Thrawn painted it because Thrawn is like into art and stuff, and like we don't really see other naval officers painting their vessels
Yeah,
necessarily.
I thought it was like a Thrawn thing.
Yeah, I would assume once he took over, I think once he took over it and once he actually becomes like Grand Admiral and stuff and it's like his flagship, then yes, I think that he would have painted it because it then, when you see the ship, you're like, oh no, it's Thrawn, not just one of his ships.
Yeah,
Because you really can't tell a Star Destroyer apart
no.
between another Star Destroyer. So,
I mean, also, like, let's be real. Thrawn was probably the theater kid. He likes a grand entrance.
I mean,
He
he
likes,
does like art and like studying culture and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he has a pretty bomb trophy room essentially.
I'd like to think that the organ music we hear when he comes in, like everybody else hears it too. It's just like,
He
okay.
just plays it. He hits play as soon as he walked into the room. That's what Eli's job is now, is to hit play on the speaker.
So yeah, they ends chapter 19 with Eli's promotions
Hmm.
and Thrawn getting the Chimera.
And then chapter 20 is just kind of a small one. Like they get their first like distress call. Um, they go out and look at the ship, and they're
This
like,
is the, this is the one though where Thrawn gets pissed off, and it's the first time Eli has seen Thrawn get mad
yeah, Thrawn actually raises his voice and like scares everybody, including Thrawn.
because like
It's
that
classified.
advantage, like Thrawn's like, "Let me on." And the stormtrooper captain's like, "No, can't do that, sir."
It's classified. And he's like, I am the commander of this ship. You will let me pass. He does a reverse Gandalf. Um, but yeah, he raises his voice. Because apparently on this ship that they are investigating that was raided and whatever was on board was taken, was transporting, it was an Imperial ship transporting slaves, Wookiee slave.
Slaves. So
So,
that's a touchy subject.
yes. Um, and so Thrawn figures out that they're probably going to want to rescue the rest of them from like a prison that they're being held at. And so they head towards the prison, and sure enough, they arrive, and like 2 seconds later, the people trying to break out the Wookiees arrive at the prison. And Thrawn essentially is like, okay, well, we need to stop them from taking over the prison, but also keep intact the prisoners. So he like blows a hole in between the two, pretty much cutting off, like trapping the rebels and securing the prisoners.
Yeah.
So he does a job well done, and then him and Eli are talking afterwards. I gotta pull it up because it's like the best part about the chapter, because it shows you Thrawn's kind of coldness.
Oh yeah. He says, what are we going to do about the Wookiees? And Thrawn says, we will leave them here.
Yeah,
Then, Eli's like, I don't know if we want to do that, yada, yada, yada. They're slaves. The Empire's using slaves. And
yeah,
then Thrawn says,
and that Eli's not necessarily comfortable with that knowledge.
yeah, yeah. And Thrawn says, it does not matter. However, these things were pressed into service. They are now Imperial assets. They will be treated as such. Just stone cold. It's like,
Right.
okay, I see you, Thrawn.
And then Thrawn gives you like a kind of a they might not necessarily be slaves argument of like they could be indentured servants, they could be prisoners working off their sentence, yada yada yada, all these excuses. And Eli's just like, do you really think it could be any of those? And Thrawn's just like, no. And his tone hardens. But yeah. So
They're
cold, but still with a hint of morality to it. So it's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
He's not the good guy necessarily.
No,
He does the correct option, but doesn't mean it's the right option.
yeah. One thing about Thrawn is he has his own self motivations, right? I mean, he's
Right.
working for the Empire right now because that's what gets him to his goals of saving.
That's who has the power.
Yeah.
He's not gonna bite the hand that he needs to help him. So he's not gonna start freeing imperial slaves, because then the emperor would probably get mad at him, and then he would lose that asset of the
Yeah.
the empire, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So I'm with Eli though. Like, no. Which is surprising that Eli has so much faith in Thrawn that even though he feels so uneasy about it, he's like, I'm gonna stick with Thrawn. I'm gonna stay by my captain,
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think at this
interesting.
point, Eli's like, Thrawn has a reason for everything, right?
Right.
So just kind of trust him.
And I half the time don't even know what he's doing, so yeah. Maybe someday we'll come back and free these Wookiees. So yeah.
Yeah. We're getting close.
We are
10
getting
chapters.
close. We are 10 chapters away.
But those are some good chapters. I like them a lot.
I think that these are probably my favorite chapters of the entire book, because it is kind of a turning point in the book. Like, we have stuff set up, like Orinda is now going to be governor. Thrawn is set up as Commodore with his Star Destroyer. Now he gets to pretty much do what he wants.
Yeah.
Eli finally got promoted. So, like, the story is only going to pick up from here. They're starting to, you can tell they're going to start trying to focus on Night Swan.
Yeah.
Now that Thrawn
Kind of
has the
in that
freedom to do so.
underarching theme, the whole book. His name keeps popping up.
Right. So that that's going to be the climactic clash for Thrawn at the end of this book. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, these are my favorite chapters probably because it shows off Thrawn's tacticalness, but also, um, you just get a lot of information and a lot of the story moves forward. So yeah.
No, it's definitely really good. I just love
So,
Thrawn. I'm so excited to see him in live action.
me too, and I'm glad it's going to be the same actor as the
Same
voice acting.
voice.
Yeah, because I mean, people have been photoshopping him blue for years now. So it's like, I mean, he looks like he could be Thrawn if he's blue. So, it works.
He matches it. And
Yeah.
I'm glad the continuity of the voice, too. That's going to be nice.
Yeah, because he did a really good job in Rebels with the voice of Thrawn. So, all right. Any other thoughts?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then
We've
that
been
means
good.
we'll reconvene next time for chapters 20 through 25.
Yep.
Start thinking of books to add to the wheel because we're
Yes.
going to be spinning the wheel for our next book soon. Hopefully, these next couple episodes we're going to be a little bit more consistent. So,
We'll get back on it.
yeah. All right.
All right. Till next time.